Lord declared to Jogmaya that my plenary expansion, Ananta, Shesha, who is now lying in the Umba of Devaki, and because you will transfer him to the Umba Rohini on account of being forcibly attracted, he would be known as Sankarshan. On the other hand, because he would be the source of all spiritual power, one will be able to attain the highest bliss of life, which is called Raman. Therefore, my plenary portion, Ananta, after appearance, will be known either as Sankarshan or Balarama. In the Upanishad, it is stated, Namahatma Balahinana Labhra. Purport is, nobody can attain the supreme form of self-realization without being sufficiently favored by Balaram. Bala means Balaram. It is not that Bala means physical strength. Nobody can attain spiritual perfection by his physical strength, but one must have a spiritual strength which is infused by Balaram. Or Sankarshan, Ananta, Sesha Naga, he is the power which sustains all the planet in their different position. Materially, this sustaining power is known as law of gravitation, but actually it is the display, the potency of Sankarshan. So Balaram or Sankarshan is spiritual power or the original spiritual master. Therefore, Lord Nityananda Prabhu, who is also incarnation of Balaram, is the original spiritual master, and the spiritual master is representative of Balaram, or the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who supplies the spiritual strength. In the Chaitanya Chaitamrita, it is confirmed that the spiritual master is the manifestation of mercy of Krishna. When Jogmaya was ordered by the Supreme Personality of Godhead in that way, she circumambulated the Lord, then appeared within this material world according to the direction of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. When the supreme power of the Supreme powerful Personality of Godhead attracted Lord Sesha from the Umba Devaki to the Umba Rohini, both of them were under spell of Yogamaya, which is called Yoga Nidra. When this was done, then people understood that Devaki's seventh pregnancy was miscarriage. Thus, Lord Balaram, although appeared as the son of Devaki, was transferred to the Umba Rohini to appear as her son. When Gargamuni was so eagerly requested by Nanda Maharaj, he then performed the name-giving ceremony as secretly as possible in the cow shed of Nanda Maharaj. He informed Nanda Maharaj that this child, son of Rohini, his attitude will be very much pleasing to his family members, relatives. Therefore, he would be called as Rama. At the same time, this child in future will be extraordinarily very strong. Therefore, he would be called Balaram. But at the same time, your family and the family of the Jodhus being so intimately connected and attracted, so his another name should be Sankarshan. This means the Gargamuni awarded three names to the son of Rohini, namely Balaram, Sankarshan and Baladeva. But he carefully did not disclose the fact that Balaram also appeared in the Omba Devaki, but he was subsequently transferred to the Omba Rahini. In other words, Krishna and Balaram are real brothers, being originally sons of Devaki.
Shiv Koshi Vishadeva Shanam Jaladhava Halayati Viti Milita Jamunavam
Shiv Koshi Vishadeva Shanam Jaladhava Halayati Viti Milita Jamunavam
Shiv Koshi Vishadeva Shanam Jaladhava Alayati viti milita jamunava
Shiv Koshi Vishadeva Shanam Jaladhava Alayati viti milita jamunava
Keshavadita haladhara rupa Jai Jagadisha Hare Jaya Jagadisha Hare
Jayo Keshavadita Haladhara Rupa Jai Jagadisha Hare Jai Jagadisha Hare
Jaya Keshavadita Haladhara Rupa Jai Jagadisha Hare Jaya Jagadisha Hare Jaya Jagadisha Hare
Jayo Keshavadita Haladhara Rupa Jai Jagadisha Hare Jaya Jagadisha Hare
While Krishna was engaged in his transcendental pastimes, exhibiting his internal potency along with the supermost fortunate cowherd's boy, there was another chance of his exhibiting the superhuman power of Godhead when his most intimate friends like Siddham, Shubham, Stoka Krishna, all of them combined together began to address Krishna as follows with great love and affection. Will you kindly note that just near this place there is a big forest of the name Balarama. This forest is full of palm trees. All these palm trees are full with fruits. Some of them are falling down and some of them are very ripe even in the tree. It is a very nice place, but on account of a great demand, Dhenuka fruit, it is very difficult to go there, and nobody can reach the trees to collect the fruits from there. My dear Balaram, if you like, let us all go there and enjoy these fruits. Flavor of the fruits are now everywhere spread. Don't you smell the flavor from here? In this way, when Balaram and Krishna were requested by their intimate friends, they became inclined to please their friends, and with a smiling face began to proceed towards the Talvan, being surrounded by all other cowherd's boyfriends. Balaram, immediately after entering the Talvan, began to jerk all the trees with his arms, exhibiting the strength of the trunk of the elephants. Immediately, on account of this jerking, all the ripe fruits fell down on the ground. While the fruits were falling, by hearing the sound, immediately the divan, Subhasu, who was staying there in the corner of an ass, began to approach the place with great force and trembling the whole field, so that all the trees began to go as if there were occurrence of earthquake. Demon in the form of an ass, first of all, appeared on the chest of Balarama. This time Balarama immediately caught hold of the two legs of the ass in one hand and immediately wheeling all around, threw him on the top of the trees. Krishna, however, while he was being wheeled round by Balarama, lost his life. The palm tree on which the dead body of the demon Venukasur was thrown by Balarama was the biggest of all, but on account of the heavy body of the demon, that big palm tree fell on other trees, and in this way several trees fell down immediately. It appeared there as if there was a great hurricane passing through the forest, and all the trees were falling down one after another. This exhibition of extraordinary strength by Balarama is not astonishing, because Balarama is the personality of Godhead known as Ananta Seshnag, who is holding all the planets on the head of his millions of hoods. The whole cosmic manifestation is maintained by him. All the friends and associates of the Venukasur as immediately combined together and attack Rama and Krishna with great force. They determined to retaliate and revenge the death of their friend Venukasur. But Krishna and Balaram, both of them, began to catch them, each one by the hind legs, and exactly in the same way wheeling them, killed all of them. All of them were exactly in the same way thrown over the palm trees. On account of the dead bodies of the asses thrown on the top of the palm trees, there was a nice panoramic scene, as if clouds of various colors assembled there. Hearing these great incidents, the demigods from the higher planets began to shower flowers on them, began to beat their drums, to offer their devotional prayers.
Jaya Baladeva, Jaya Baladeva, Baladeva, Jaya Baladeva,
Jaya Baladeva, Jaya Baladeva, Baladeva, Jaya Baladeva.
Jaya Baladeva, Jaya Baladeva, Baladeva, Jaya Baladeva,
Jaya Baladeva, Jaya Baladeva, Baladeva, Jaya Baladeva.
Jaya Jaya Balade, 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 Balade.
Jaya Jaya Balade, 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 Balade.
Jaya Jaya Balade, 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 Balade.
Jaya Balade, Balade, Balade.
This way, where all the cowherds, boys and Ramakrishna were engaged in their transcendental pastimes, one great demon of the name Purnima entered in their company with a desire to kidnap both Rama and Krishna from their company. Krishna, however, although he was playing the part of cowherd's boy, still he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead and could understand everything, past, present and future. As such, on Purnima entering in their company, he began to think of how to kill the demon, and while victorious party on his back. In this way, they began playing, at the same time taking attention of the cows, and they began to proceed through the forest which was known as Mandirvan. In that sport, the party of Balaram, accompanied by Siddham and Bishop, became victorious, and the party of Krishna, held by other boys, had to take each of them on their back. Thus they reached the extreme of the Mandi forest. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, being defeated, had to carry on his back Siddhama. Similarly, Darshan carried Bishop, imitating them. The Purnima, who appeared there as a cowherd boy, had to carry Balaram on his back. The demon Purnima was the greatest amongst the demons, and he thought that Krishna was more powerful, and in order to avoid the company of Krishna, he carried Balaram farther away from the place where they were to get down. The demon Purnima was undoubtedly very strong and powerful. Still, he was carrying Balaram, who is compared with a mountain. Therefore, while carrying Balaram, he was feeling too much burden, and now he began to assume his real form of demon. Thus, when he appeared in his real feature, he was decorated with golden helmet and earrings, and thus appeared just like the cloud with lightning lines over it, carrying the moon on the head. At that time, Balaram observed that his body was expanding up to the limit of the cloud, and his eyes were dazzling like blazing fire, and his cheeks were decorated with sharpened teeth, and his helmet and earrings began to appear like fiery brightness. Baladev was for the time being surprised by such appearance of the demon, and began to think himself, how is it that the carrier has changed his everything all of a sudden? When Balaram was settled up in his mind, and he could understand that he was being carried away from his friends by the demon to kill him, immediately he struck the head of the demon with a strong fist, as if the king of the heavenly planet strikes the mountain with thunderbolt. Thus being stricken by the fist of Balaram, the demon fell down, just like a snake smashed on by his head, and he was vomiting blood from his mouth, and immediately the demon became unconscious and fell down, making a great sound as if a great hill was falling down, being struck by the thunderbolt of King Indra. And Purnima, the great demon, was thus killed by Balaram. At that time, all the cowherds boys rushed together there, being astonished by the ghastly scene. They began to enthuse Baladevji with the words, well done, well done. All of them began to embrace Balaram in great affection, and all of them were thinking that Balaram had returned from death. This way, all of them began to eulogize Balaram and offered their blessings of congratulation. Great demon Brahmasu, thus being killed, all the demigods in the heavenly planet became very well satisfied and began to shower flowers on the transcendental body of Balaram. They also began to offer congratulations to Balaram by saying, well done, well done.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama,
When Lord Balaram visited that place, there was a great assembly of transcendentalists and a great sacrifice was being performed there. Such a meeting of the transcendentalists were planned for thousands of years, and when Lord Balaram entered the place, all the participants of the meeting, namely great sages, ascetics, Brahmins, learned scholars, immediately got up from their respective seats and welcomed Lord Balaram with great honor and respect. Some of them offered him respectful obeisances, and those who were elderly, great sages and Brahmins, offered him blessing by standing up. After this formality, Lord Balaram was offered a suitable seat, and thus all of them worshipped him. Every one of them in the assembly stood up on the presence of Balaram, because all of them knew Balaram as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Education and learning means to understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Therefore, Lord Balaram, although he appeared on the scene as a Kshatriya, still all the Brahmins and sages stood up because they knew what Lord Balaram was. Unfortunately, Lord Balaram, after being worshipped and seated on his place, saw Rahasyam, the disciple of Vyasdeva, incarnation of Godhead, was still sitting on the Vyasasana. He neither got up from his seat nor offered him any respect. Because he was seated on the Vyasasana, he thought himself greater than the Lord. Out of this foolishness, he did not get down from his seat and bowed down before the Lord. When a low caste male unites with a high caste woman, then the offspring is called Pratilom. Thomas and Suta belong to the Pratilom family because his father was a Kshatriya and his mother belonged to the Brahmin family. And because his transcendental realization was not perfect, therefore Lord Balaram remembered about his Pratilom heritage. The idea is that any man can be given the chance of becoming a Brahmin, but if the man improperly uses the position of a Brahmin without actual realization, then his elevation to the Brahminical position is not valid. Lord Balaram, after seeing the deficiency of realization in Rahasyam Sutta, he wanted to chastise him because he was falsely puffed up. Lord Balaram therefore said that this man is liable to be awarded the death punishment because although he has the good certificate of becoming the disciple of Lord Vyasdeva, and although he had studied all the Vedic literature from such an exalted personality, he was not submissive in the presence of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Lord Balaram thus began to consider, I have incarnated in order to chastise a false persons who are internally impure but externally pose themselves as very much learned and religious. Killing of such persons by me the proper action so that such persons may be checked from his progressive sinful activities. Although Lord Balaram avoided to take part in the battle of Kurukshetra, still, because of his position as incarnation, re-establishment of religious principles was his prime duty. Considering all these points, Lord Baladev immediately killed Romaharsana Suta simply by striking him with a kusha straw, which was nothing but a blade of grass only. If somebody questions, however, how Lord Balaram could kill Romaharsana Suta simply by striking him with a kusha grass, the answer is given in the Srimad Bhagavatam by the word Prabhu. Either is Lord's position is always transcendental, and because he is omnipotent, he can act as he likes without any obligation to the material laws and principles. As such, it was possible for him to kill Romaharsana Suta simply by striking him with a kusha grass blade.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare.
Krishna saw all the trees overloaded by the fruits, fresh twigs. They came down to touch the ground as if they were welcoming Krishna by touching his lotus feet. Krishna was very much pleased by the behavior of the trees and the fruits and flowers, and began to smile, realizing their deserts, and thus began to speak with his elder brother Baladev as follows. My dear elder brother, you are the supreme of all of us, and your lotus feet is worshipped by the demigods. Now, just see how these trees full with fruits and flowers went down to worship your lotus feet. It appears that because they have been put into this form of life of trees, they are trying to get out of the darkness by which they have been obliged to accept these forms of trees. Actually, these trees born in the depth of land of Vrindavan, they are not ordinary living entities. They are on account of their past life, quite an impersonal philosophical point of view. They are now put into this condition, standstill life. Now they have got the opportunity of seeing you in Vrindavan, and they are praying for further advancement in spiritual life of your personal association. Similarly, the three species of life are obtained by living entities in the modes of darkness. So, the impersonalists and boiled philosophers are in the darkness, and in order to predicate from this darkness of life, your presence is taken fully advantage of. I think the drones who are buzzing all around you, they must be your devotees from their past life, and they cannot leave your company because nobody can be better affectionate master than yourself. You are the supreme original personality of Godhead, and the drones are just trying to spread your glories, chanting every moment. I think some of them must be great sages, devotees of your Lordship, and they are hiding themselves in the form of drones because they are unable to give up your company even for a moment. My dear brother, you are the supreme worshipable Godhead. Therefore, just see the peacocks, great ecstasy, are dancing before you. So far, the deers are concerned, whose behavior is just like the gopis, and how they are welcoming you with the same affection. The cuckoos who are residing in this forest, trying to receive you with great joy, because they have considered that your appearance is auspicious at their home. I think the residents of Vrindavan, even though they are trees and animals, they are glorified because all of them are so nice that they are prepared to welcome in their best capacity, because it is the practice of great souls to receive another great soul at home. So far the land is concerned, it is so pious and fortunate that it is marking on its body the footprints of your lotus. Cuckoos who are staying in this forest just welcoming you by their sweet voice. It is quite natural for the Vrindavan inhabitants to receive a great personality like you. The land of Vrindavan is also fortunate because on the ground you are leaving the impression of your footprints. The herbs, creepers and plants, they are also so much fortunate that they are touching your lotus feet. Small plants of which you are touching the twigs by your hand and nails, they are also glorious. So far the hills and the rivers are concerned, they are also glorious because you are putting on your glance over them. Above all, the damsels of Braja, the gopis, they are still more glorious because you embrace them with your strong arms, being attracted by their beauty. In this way, both Lord Krishna and Balarama began to enjoy the residence of Vrindavan in full satisfaction along with the cubs and cows on the bank of Jamuna.
Krishna Balarama Jaya Krishna Balarama Krishna Balarama Jaya Krishna Balarama Jaya Krishna Balarama Krishna Balarama Krishna Balarama Jaya Krishna Balarama Jaya Krishna Balarama Krishna Balarama Jaya Krishna Balarama Jaya Krishna Balarama Krishna Balarama Jaya Krishna Balarama Jaya Krishna Balarama Krishna